Hello, everybody, and welcome to All Things Kundalini Yoga and the Evolution Revolution with Ravi Singh and his sidekick, Rebecca Hahn. We've been on a little bit of a break due to family and holidays and New Year's and all of that, but we are signing back up to our commitment to be here with you every other week and move us through the evolution of our own process and our own growth. And, you know, today is the second day of the new year. Is it the second? Third day of the new year. Second day of the new year. See, I have a family hangover. I just spent a week and a half with my family. And all the things that we talked about in the past two sessions were very much in practice for me. And yet I'm still left feeling energetically a bit hungover. I love my family, but it's just, you know, at almost 50 years old, you don't really want to be doing sleepovers anymore. You want your own space and your own rhythm and your own ritual. So today we thought we'd focus on what it means to be the new you in the new year and how we get there. So, you know, there's that whole cycle that we go through of getting really ramped up and letting everything go from 2018 and starting again in 2019, fresh, clean slate. But typically typically that doesn't wind up happening. We get really gung-ho for the first couple of weeks and then it falls away and then habitual patterns kick back in. But on a clearly scientific and spiritual level, we're asking the universe to do something, you know, that's another quick fix. Like, we can't just sweep under the rug a whole entire year or lifetime of habitual patterns and start anew. And so I guess I'd love to talk with Ravi about how we either spiritually anchor ourselves in a way so that we're not looking at things as shoulds and to-dos, and also having a realistic expectation of what we can do in order to have success in changing some of our habitual patterns. Because really, setting a resolution is saying to myself, I'm changing my habit right now. Done with that, starting new. And yet it takes more time or a different kind of magic to actually create pathways in our system to have that happen. So I don't know. I don't want people to fail again, and I want to give them a different kind of menu to choose from so that resolutions become an internal revolution as opposed to setting goals that don't get met, habitual patterns kicking back in. How do we rewire for sustainable success?
Well, let me just say that dialectic between success and failure is probably not useful, because
Okay.
when we have the idea of failure in our mind, it's probably going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. What we need to reconfigure that by just keeping our intention strong, and if we have lapses, not seeing those as failures, but just seeing those as inevitable lapses along the way. But keeping intention strong is the most important thing, and of course, that harkens back to navel power. You know, whenever we want to bust a move to a better, brighter us, we need to get navel power going, and we can't state that enough. But let me backtrack a little bit, you know, so it takes 40 days to break a habit, according to yoga, 90 days to create a new one, and 120 days to confirm it. So already that's a third of a year commitment to that process. 40 days, 90 days, 120 days. So whenever we want to put something behind us, we need to institute something new to replace it. And everyone agrees with that. And I think what that probably ought to be is a meditation. I feel that it would also be great to do a life exercise for 40 plus days of doing something different than you've normally been doing, something new, something different, mixing it up. Things begin to move in our lives when we mix it up. And, you know, it could be anything. It could be, you know, going out dancing one night a week or anything, just out of your comfort zone. And that really tends to make a difference.
You know, as a part of my framework as a coach and a consultant and a therapist with a master's degree in somatic psychology, it could even be something even less. Like, I talk a lot about the choreography of life and the choreography of business, right? This is part of what I do. And sometimes I'll recommend, if somebody's really stuck, to rearrange their kitchen equipment. not like their fridge and stove, but like move your toaster here, move your juicer here, move this here, change the plates and the cups, because then you're tricking your system into re-choreographing habitual patterns. And so automatically you're kind of priming the pump for moving, literally moving differently through life. And so then when you take on something that might be a meditation that's really intensely rewiring the brain, or quitting a habit like, you know, drinking or smoking or eating junk food, your system isn't shocked by doing something different. And also when you incorporate the body into it, it actually sends messages through your nervous system from the inside out. So when we look at Kundalini yoga, that's exactly what's happening. So if you actually like, and I hate the word hack really, because only very few things are real hacks. What we're actually doing a lot of times is mastering something, not hacking something. But in this case, it's kind of a hack. Like, you know, maybe rearrange a few pieces of furniture, put your toothbrush on the other side of the bathroom sink, you know, do things a little differently there. So you're priming the pump for when you get into a Kundalini yoga practice, you already have been using your body in a different way as a hack, as a trick. And then, you know, and then also do something different, like once a week, if you don't have that time, once a month, go out dancing, or go to a movie you wouldn't normally see, or go to a restaurant you normally, or go alone, you know, just do things differently. And so that's like the anti-goal setting. That's more about priming the pump and creating a new terrain for change without having to should yourself through things. You know, like if we're changing our diet, quitting drinking, waking up 3 hours earlier, starting a meditation, cleaning out our fridge all in the new year, I mean, that to me is a setup for anxiety and panic.
Right, that's important. Also, you know, a hack is you know, finding entrance through the back door to a place we've otherwise be denied. And so Kundalini Yoga is the greatest hack of all time, because we are, you know, re-scripting the universe's narrative for us, turning karma into dharma. It's not supposed to be able to happen, but the yogis figured it out. They were, you know, the greatest hacksters of all time. But, you know, so it's talking about doors, you know, Kundalini Yoga does not work automatically. What it does is, I like to point out, is it opens doors, you know, but we still have to walk through them. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you do a practice, a committed meditation, etc., we need to have a corresponding life meditation that goes along with it. Otherwise, it's just going to be more of the same, you know. I know so many people that do meditation after meditation, but nothing is different, because they're not taking the additional step of doing the parallel life exercises to go along with it. And
okay, so give us an example of like a, you know, like we prescribe a really simple meditation, and then what would that look like in the mirror of the like everyday choreography of life?
Yeah, so if you say you're been involved in relationship after relationship and the same old thing happens, you know, say that you know, typically find a way to meet people who are not, who remain somewhat unattainable, you know, like someone can, you know, keep meeting married guys or whatever, you know, and it just keeps happening and you're sick of it. You need to work from the inside out and outside in. The outside in would be to do the meditation Satanama, to, you know, kind of repattern the patterns and heal the wounding. But then in our lives, we need to earnestly look for the opportunity to do it different, and just be willing to do it different. Because whenever we do a meditation and start working on ourselves, the universe will automatically test us. That's kind of built into the program. We have to anticipate those tests and be willing to do it different. You know, whenever, you know, that person meets someone who in the past they would have been so attracted to, you know, chemistry on a scale of 10, etc., they have to be willing to say, hey, wait a second, not again. And just be willing to try to hang out with different people and get, you know, find more fulfillment that way, and see where that leads.
That also brings in the tool around like meta observing yourself, like having enough awareness to take that step back, that yogic mind, and begin to recognize with non-judgment what I'm engaging in that moment, as opposed to panicking or thinking I'm still in the old pattern. It's like, just observe it and then just say, no, thank you, and walk away. And, you know, I think there's something too around this idea of sacrifice, right? So like, we're talking about doing a meditation and reflecting in our real life and giving these things up. And when we look at the word sacrifice, you know, we've got this paradigm around sacrifice being giving something up, as opposed to sacrifice being letting something go because I'm replacing it with something of a higher vibration. And so we are ultimately sacrificing something. But if we shift our mindset around, I'm sacrificing, you know, this unhealthy habit in the new year, and I'm going to replace it with all this like regimented stuff to replace it, as opposed to just saying a sacrifice is a letting go. And I don't actually have to feel fear or anxiety, because I'm actually going to replace it with tools, hacks, whatever that have a higher vibration. So we don't have to feel those intense feelings around it. We kind of slip into
We don't have
another
to be
place.
we don't have to be martyrs to be masters, you know. Like
Right.
I was up today at 4 a.m. meditating, and it's not like, you know, it's not like an onerous thing. I want to do it because I know that it's good for me in the greater scheme of things, and it's, you know, I feel better about myself when I do it because I want to do it. And the rewards, excuse me, the rewards for doing things the right way are more than outweigh any sense of sacrifice, you know.
Right. And
Sacrifice.
sometimes sometimes we don't even have to replace something yet. Just leave everything as is and add something in. And eventually you go, oh, I stopped doing that thing that I didn't even try to stop doing.
So the purpose of Kundalini Yoga is to give you the tools to rock your life, you know. Our life is where it's at. Kundalini Yoga is like the rehearsal. Our life is the play. And if we do really good at rehearsal, the play is going to be a hit. So you know, we have to know that Kundalini Yoga is the rehearsal, but then we have to go out and perform in the play. And
so the play on words is memorize your lines and angles.
Right, exactly. And you know, go for it.
So you recently shared a post with me about your New Year's like resolutions. It was a poem, and one of the lines in it was about getting much more deeply engaged. I'm not quoting you on this, I don't remember it, but really rocking your practice, getting much more engaged in a powerful practice. And I thought, Robbie's my teacher. I've been with him for like decades, and what more can he do? What is it in you right now that's feeling like you would like to engage more in a deeper practice, and
Well, you know,
what does that look like?
one part of one feels that it's enough to get up at whatever 4 a.m. etc. and do it. And you know, I mean, that's true. You know, really the fruits of these labors are a dispensation of grace, and we don't know when the ultimate rewards will come. It's up to the universe. But one always can remind oneself to be more present, be more passionate, be more powerful in the moment while you're doing your practice. You know, just try to contextualize it, you know, like this is it. This is amazing. I'm so lucky to be able to do this, to have the time to do this, to have the awareness to do this. Let me just be as creative and powerful as I can in the moment to really, with an attitude of gratitude. So, you know, it's one's always in process. It never ends. We always have to remind ourselves to rock it. As we say in the training, we want to rock it and rock it. ROCKIT and ROCKET. Right.
Yeah. I find it so humbling as a student of you and the Kundalini Yoga practice that my teacher, colleague, whatever you are for me, all of those things, friend, is saying like, I need to deepen my practice. And so when you say that, especially at the turn of the new year, it creates a space of grace for myself, you know, and reminding myself that I'm not shitting on myself, that even after 40 years, you're still, you know, you go through phases with your practice too, and then reignite it, and that we're just human, and we have, you know, deeper points of entry along the way of our own spiritual maturation.
Sometimes, I feel uninspired and unmotivated and negative, and I just have to, do it. Just do it. And all I can do is just do it. There's nothing else to bring to it, but it's amazing because, it helps on so many levels. So if you're feeling those feelings in your practice and you do your practice, those feelings won't seep into your life. That's how it goes.
Yeah. One thing about Kundalini yoga that I find so fascinating, that's so absolutely different than other yogas, is, we've talked about how hatha yoga and other forms of yoga, asana work, poses, is really a much more gross physical practice with a spiritual element. And you're also cleansing and doing certain things and finding ways to be present in the moment and edge through your pain. But when you get to the practice of Kundalini yoga, in your first beginner's mind of Kundalini yoga, you are doing a physical practice with spiritual elements, but then you hit this point where you're primed for some of the really deep unconscious / consciousness raising work. And in the last module of the teacher training, Ravi led us through, I don't know what you would call it, but a pretty long kriya, which is a set of exercises that are, the parts create a greater whole. And it's all very scientific based on the masters. But what was the name of the practice?
Journey through the psyche.
Journey through the psyche. I've been thinking about that so much lately, and I've done it with you before. But people ask me about the training and what the difference is between just yoga and Kundalini yoga, and then what's the difference between this training and another training. But it was pretty much a 2-hour practice where the kriyas themselves the exercises weren't themselves that difficult, but part of the mastery of the science behind Kundalini yoga, and Ravi as a teacher, is that we literally went through a journey through the psyche. I mean, we got in touch with so many aspects of things on a cellular level, habitual patternings and beliefs. And it was this really gentle journey that we were not in reality in terms of like something got accessed. And so when I talk about these Kundalini trainings, it's not just for people wanting to be teachers, it's for people wanting to evolutionize and move forward, because inevitably, even if you're not teaching on the mat, if you've gone through these types of processes and being guided, you're a teacher to the universe, you're a teacher to the world. Just walking the path alone, anybody that you come in contact with, you are modeling a new paradigm. And so this journey that we took, and every aspect of it was thoroughly thought out, like the music choices and the languaging around it and how you guided us through the kriyas and the prompts. And, in the end, nobody really even wanted to come out. We wanted to stay in it, go deeper. And we had a short break after this, 2-hour practice. And we were all just kind of wandering around the center. And most of these people haven't been on the mat, on the Kundalini mat, for very long. And half of them probably haven't, this is their first teacher training. And so I was like, this is the magic of Kundalini yoga. And they're like, yeah, dude, this is really, this is transformative on such a deep level. And it's a combination of a universal hack. Like you could spend 20 years in therapy to get there. And I have. So I know I know the difference between long-term therapy and Kundalini yoga.
I just want to clarify, we're not talking about getting high. We're talking about getting deep.
Yeah. It was a very deep practice of clearing things and getting in touch.
That set, by the way, is in our book.
Mm-hmm.
So Kundalini Yoga book, The Life in the Vast Lake. So in Kundalini Yoga, we want to leave no stone unturned, because we raise our consciousness. We also want to go into the unconscious. Just like the higher a tree grows, the deeper the roots have to be. So we have to be willing to go into the dark and the quiet and the inside in order to have those roots grow deep and be in contact with those, so we can realistically raise our consciousness and not just be above it all as a form of escapism. So that set is, examining all the facets of self, basically. And there's, you know, a narrative that you're literally taking a journey and coming out more whole is what it's all about.
So, you know, with all this conversation around shifting patterns and paradigms and raising our consciousness and the pressure we put on ourselves with this New Year ritual that inevitably tends to fail, what is one thing from Kundalini Yoga itself that people can do that will, you know, not sacrificing something else, but adding something in that will start to clear the path for prosperity?
I would say Sakriya every day, 3 to 11 minutes. It realigns the chakras, it gets the navel going, it helps us to resolve those pesky first chakra issues, which most people, which all of us, you know, need to contend with, you know, more often than not. So Sakriya would be the practice to do.
Yeah, if you look at some of our older videos, it's on 2 of them, I believe. So it's
or probably more. I think it's, you know, it's on all of our almost all of our DVDs, Sakriya. I mean,
yeah,
it's for the glands, for everything. It's really quite amazing. And hats off to Kundalini Yoga for coming up with a practice that, you know, is so all-encompassing and so simple and accessible.
yeah.
Something you
So
can do, you know, just for a few minutes and then walk out the door and really be in alignment.
yeah, so it's on our these little YouTube videos, but it's also on probably the majority of your DVDs that you can also get live stream now too through their website.
Right,
Um,
exactly. So, you know, and then I would just say, you know, do mantras all day as you're driving, at walking, etc. And above all, be willing to take things, you know, not personally, but universally. Because the moment we start taking things personally, you know, that starts a domino effect that rarely ends well. So, you know, we need to, what Sakriya does, you know, part of working the first chakra is to give us a very strong sense of self. So nothing can topple us. When we don't have a strong sense of self, our ego gets, you know, bruised, and we engage in a way that creates, you know, karma and upset. And that won't do. So we need to just kind of be strong within ourselves, and whatever happens, happens, but we're still that.
mhm.
We are that we are, and that forever. That, you know, we need to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah, I just did a 13-hour drive last week and then this week back home, and I listened to mantras pretty much the whole entire way, and the trip went really quickly. And the one major thing I noticed is that my body hurts a lot. Like I just have, you know, I'm one of those achy, painy people. And when I drive that long, it really affects me. And also my energy is, when I drive, I instantly get tired. And I noticed when I was just listening to mantra the whole time that my energy stayed steady. I wound up feeling revived at the end of the trip. My body didn't hurt. And I was like, oh, there's something to this. Again and again, I'm reminded of that.
And listening works on the throat chakra as well as
Mhm.
chanting. And you know, part of having an open throat chakra is being able to speak your truth, but also being willing and able not to speak when people are making trouble. You know, that's a strong throat chakra as well. Just to acknowledge and not speak, because once we say something, we can take it back. It's
Mhm.
better just to stay mum and communicate from a place of strength, not when you're reeling from something.
Yeah. It's a really great point. I think we forget, we talk about all that empowering yourself through your clear thoughts and actions and speaking. And sometimes it's, you know, better just to, that's a great reminder too, having the strength to make that discernment.
Right, exactly. So I think we covered a lot. And we want to wish everyone a great new year. And, you know, let's keep supporting one another and being strong together. And yeah, we hope to see you down the road.
Yes, and we still have room for modules in our training in Kalamazoo. The next one is next weekend, module 4 already. So get in touch with us if you'd like to join us for a module or the rest of the
Let me
training.
just say a word about the next one. It's called The Healing Path, and it's about how to heal yourself and others. And these teachings go back to, you know, Vedic times, or Vedic times, which is where Ayurveda comes from, the Indian system of healing. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. The reason that these teachings have been around so long is because they work and they're powerful. And these represent often the missing ingredient on many people's healing path. We get so many emails, hyperthyroid, food sensitivity, so many things are going on, fatigue. It's more than just a matter of lifestyle. We need to go deeper than that. And we're going to talk about how to do that.
Okay. And then when are the other trainings scheduled?
We have Springfield, Missouri is starting January 18th. We have March, Brantford, Connecticut, April, Asheville, North Carolina. So it's going to be pretty busy.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll keep everybody posted on that, and you can make modules up at other places too if you want to jump in. So Happy New Year, everybody. Here's to the revolution.
All right.
Sat Nam. Thank you, Ravi, for taking the time.
See you soon.